I would definitely say take more chances, take more risks. I was always a very play it safe kind of person. Everything by the book.
Scheduled, planned, known, forecasted.
Yeah.
And when I look back at just the short period of time that we've been doing what we've been doing, we'll look up months down the road and said, if we had just done what we thought we should have done at that very time, how different would our life look right now? Do the things that your gut tells you to go do. It's not, and I don't mean to be a doer in that we just don't do the things. We do the things, but we question them and we question them and we question them for more amount of time.
And we evaluate.
And we should just rip the Band-Aid off and go trust yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we're smart. We put in the time. We've talked to a lot of people, and trust yourself that you know the answer and
see it through.
See it through the end. Yeah.
The Converse Cowboy journey has given me an opportunity to sit down with some amazing performers that are living the Western lifestyle, where it is my job to tease out their habits and routines so that you can apply and test yourself in your own life. I've learned, I've grown personally, I've been enlightened, and I've been humbled. Above all, I realize that there is no destination in this life, no goal achieved or money made that can replace the feeling of flow and the pursuit of doing what you love to do. With a growth mindset, I'm constantly asking questions and pursuing knowledge. The Converse Cowboy is a platform that allows me to do just that. On this tour, we head to Fort Worth, Texas, where most of the Western world gathered for the NFR, the NCHA Futurity, and Cowboy Christmas. We set up at Schaefer Outfitter in the Stockyards to record podcasts with some incredible people. I'm excited and eager to share their stories with you all. I'm Mike Roberts. This is the Converse Cowboy. Brought to you by Kerry Kelly Bits and Spurs and Schaefer Outfitter.
Thank you guys, Chelsea and Bailey, for coming in today. Very grateful for your time. Excited to get into this. I know y'all's path and my path with real estate and horses kind of cross over. So there's a lot of buzz in the air right now. We're here in Fort Worth in the Stockyards, here at Schaefer Outfitter. And, there's the NFR going on, there's the Cutting Horse Futurity, there's Cowboy Christmas, there's people absolutely everywhere. And so it's a cool time to be in Fort Worth. It's a busy time to be in Fort Worth. So again, thank you for sharing your time. But so I'll get right into it. Blonde Ambition.
What a trip.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, how did that even happen? So Blonde Ambition on Ride TV, how did that happen?
So Blonde Ambition happened honestly pretty organically. We'd been selling real estate now we're wrapping up our third year, and just like you have a huge Instagram social media presence, we use social media to help our sellers sell their properties and help buyers find properties. And so through marketing on social media, we were approached by a casting director. Actually, a few. We were approached by 3 different networks and 3 different casting directors, and this is the one that really stuck and that we felt really at home with.
Because we passed up on the first opportunity. We didn't feel like for our profession and where we wanted to go with it that it was a really good fit for us. And so something that a lot of people that are around us intimately or even a little bit, I guess, know that we're extremely career driven and we know what we want, and really nothing's going to stand in our way to get there. And so the first opportunity we passed up, and then
wasn't a great fit, wasn't really in alignment with our goals and our views. Mm-hmm. And so we passed on that one, and fortunately we ended up finding the right place that, we couldn't be happier about who we're with in terms of a network and a production company. And so things just kind of took off. It was a slow rolling ball, truly.
Very slow rolling ball.
But we're here.
So when did you guys first start recording? How long ago was that?
So we started recording about the middle of October last year, and then wrapped up. We filmed for 7 full days, like starting at 4:30 in the morning, and finishing pretty late in the afternoon, all while maintaining all the laws for filming, of course. But
and handling our contracts
and handling real estate as well. We were working full time with that, and then juggling a real estate job in the midst of basically full time filming for that 7 days. Because to get the pilot done, they said this is the hardest it'll ever be. This is the most hectic it'll ever be, but it's the most important part of the entire journey, because if you flop on the pilot, you don't get to go to the next steps. So they said, this is the most important, it's the hardest. Buckle up and get ready, because here we go.
Yeah, this
we
was
said,
our
okay.
this was our chance at a first impression. So.
Right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, and then we finished filming in November. We picked up a few more days in November, and then of course the weather had changed. The scenery was a little bit different. So all in all, bringing it all together was a process, very interesting, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, y'all definitely, I mean, beautiful ladies, great personalities. I could tell that from the first time I sat down with y'all, which was it was a meeting for real estate. You know, I reached out to y'all for some property in North Texas, and was really taken back. Like, y'all are very articulate, very dialed into what you're doing. There is a reason why y'all have been as successful as you are. And so I'm curious to know, though, like, how was that adjustment, having cameras following you around, because that can be somewhat invasive from your...
I think the biggest thing was remembering that you were mic'd at all times.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind was, I just had to constantly like write it in my hand, like, you are mic'd, you are mic'd, you are mic'd.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest adjustment for me.
So I think really the audio guy and the crew knows us better than anybody at this point.
We became friends very quickly. Yeah. He has a nickname. I mean, we got to know Jack pretty well.
Well, and so... And really knowing getting to know the crew and having them with us that whole time made having cameras in our face much less invasive. Because like the camera crew, all the guys that were behind the cameras were so awesome. Everybody
so nice.
was excellent to work with. So really, we forgot the cameras were there, you know, and it was just...
You were just hanging out with your friends that you just met.
Yeah.
But what was interesting about it, and for me being such a people person at first, you know, the whole crew, they have to dress in black so you know who they are, and kind of that visual designation. And so we're extremely social. This business is about relationships. And so we would try to talk to everybody, and I would visit with them when I walked by. And I thought, why does nobody want to talk to me? Because at first they were really cold. And so I went to the producer and I said, is everything okay? Nobody really wants to talk to me. And she said, well, they're not allowed to talk to the talent, is what they called it.
I'm like, she's not talent.
And I was like, can we scratch that for this? Because I'm going to get everybody in trouble. I really can't help myself. I want everybody to feel comfortable and be happy and have a good time.
By the end of it, like,
we
they
were all
playing
buds.
with our dogs, and it was a really great time.
Trying to adopt our barn cats. I mean, it was just,
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I'm sure we'll talk about that as this interview goes on, but I'm curious, as twins, what questions are you tired of being asked?
I don't think for me, it's not necessarily the questions, but I think it's interesting what people do with twins without realizing they're doing it. Is one time at a gas station, this is what I'm kind of tired of. They stand side by side, and you're a little bit taller, and your face is more round.
To toe and tell you the differences.
Who
as
looks
if
better
we
that day?
Don't know.
Who had a bad hair
I
day?
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I've looked at her my whole life and myself. So
you're like, thank you so much for reminding me that I have a pudgy face. I super appreciate it.
Exactly.
It's funny. So at what age did your mom stop dressing y'all alike?
Oh man.
Pretty early.
So it wasn't just a dressing alike thing. It was like she sewed our clothes. She made them.
Yeah.
Which, like, hats off to mom, because I can't imagine having children but then having twins and then like sewing and creating the clothes.
Nope.
Hats off to mom, but it was early on, and now it's funny because
we obsess over trying to look alike. And what are you wearing tomorrow? Well, I don't know. What are you wearing? Well, I don't know.
Well, and then I show up as Denim Dan because she's like,
I
we're gonna wear denim, and I'm like, okay. She shows up wearing white. Our assistant shows up wearing white, and I was like, you went rogue. What in the heck?
Well, and I don't know where anything is that I own, so it just kind of comes with the territory that I might go rogue in the process.
That's funny. What about like thoughts? Do you have like the feel? You know, you hear the stories of like being miles away, but you kind of feel something in the other one.
So I think that it's not necessarily that I like really get like I can't read her mind or
like
anything.
she didn't feel that,
Yeah,
but, you know.
exactly. But the thing is, it's funny because sometimes we cannot communicate. We'll have an argument for an hour, like full on. We're both frustrated as hell. I don't know what kind of planet she's on.
It's as if we speak different languages.
But then there's other times where like something's going on, and I'm
in
just
the
like,
room,
I know exactly what she's thinking, and something can be happening, and
without
it's like,
even looking at each other. We'll reconvene after said incident. And
or we'll say one word and it's like, yeah, I know where
Yes.
you're going, 100%,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and but it's crazy because there's no rhyme or reason to when she's on a different planet than I am, and like when we're really gonna duke it out, versus when I like look into her eyes and I'm like, yup, got it.
Yeah. Yep.
So who's older?
I'm
She
older.
is.
By
19 minutes.
wow.
Hats off to mom.
Yeah.
she's a trooper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Chelsea probably was like, "Hey, I just finally got space. Why am I gonna bust out of this? She's out of here."
So as twins, I imagine y'all did every single thing together growing up, and then tell me if I'm wrong. Like y'all did go to college together at Hershey, or did y'all go to separate colleges?
So we kind of started finding our own path in high school, although we did a lot of the same things. Chelsea tapped out of sports our senior year, and I maintained in all of the sports.
Okay, well, I had knee surgery. It wasn't like I was like
She also
I'm sick of
wasn't-
running. Like I had knee surgery.
I think she probably could have gone to rehab and stuck it out, but that's just
What
my
sports
opinion.
did y'all play?
So we played soccer all 4 years, and we both cheered.
Not my cup of tea.
Cheering was not her cup of tea. Surgery or not, she'd have been out on that senior year.
So I ended up doing more of, I incorporated riding horses into my syllabus basically in my high school curriculum, and so that, and I went down a different academic route as well, so I had a little bit different schedule than Bailey did. So really that senior year, like I said, we started to kind of split paths, and I started to really pursue my horses, and she stayed the path with sports, and
I
and
kind
then
of
we
took a
went
hiatus
to
from horses for several years, actually,
we went to different colleges promptly after high school
until
and,
my junior year
and
in
then
college.
we graduated at the same college.
But it was my junior year in college because for 3 years we found ourselves, or I found myself constantly going to be where Chelsea was. I was always on the highway headed to Stephenville. And so it was the summer going out of my junior year into my senior year that I said, you know what, I think I'm ready for a change. I said, you know, the real world is going to start soon, and who knows where our careers are going to take us, and I don't want us to be over to
I should
that
have known what it
capacity.
meant to have Bailey moving back in.
We went from like dragging out the Sunday leaving for us to split apart to I was always in trouble for the house being
she's
a mess.
messy. She's so messy.
I was messy. Now I'm really clean. I just can't find my clothes. But so we finally lived together, and there was some tension in that. But we still loved it and enjoyed it so much because from doing everything in life together as a twin to separating for 3 years, when you get back together, I don't care through the fights or not, you are just, I don't know, you just feel happy in
it's
that
like
place.
fun again. It's like it's just a built-in best friend. So we fight like sisters, but we have fun together like best friends. Like we are willingly together every day. I know twins that live across the country from
And
each
we are
other.
just we just stare at them and we say, how are you not?
It's so weird.
just
Well,
like a
how's your
bond
soul
that-
not dying?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, being back together, it was a struggle, but from then we both went to work in our respective fields after we graduated college.
What was y'all's degree in?
I got a business degree.
So I have a bachelor's and a master's in animal science.
Right on. And so clearly you're in real estate now, but is that what you went into right out of college, or did it take you a while to find the real estate path?
We had a quarter life crisis. And so in that quarter life crisis, I had gone to work in the corporate field or corporate
We
America.
both used our degrees right away.
And I thought that I wanted to climb the corporate ladder with a business degree, and she went and worked at a breeding facility, one of the largest, I think, in the nation or the world.
I worked for Select Breeders in Aubrey, and so we were Select Breeders is one of the biggest semen storage and distribution centers, and so I was the export coordinator for them. I did all their export shipments.
For how long?
I wasn't there very long. It really didn't take long to figure out that living 2.5 hours away again just wasn't going to work, and so.
And I find myself waking up on her couch every weekend, and I think I was married or engaged.
You were married.
I was married, and I couldn't. I'm sure my husband was. We're like newlyweds, and I'm running off to go see my sister.
And then when she wasn't coming to see me, I was going to see her.
She was in our
house.
house.
I was like, man, it was like I lived for 5 o'clock. I loved what I did, and I really, really liked who I worked for and who I worked with, truly. But when you're living for 5 o'clock, and sometimes I drive in, leave at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to work on time Monday morning just because I wanted to spend the weekend in Granbury with Bailey and her husband. It was like, man, this can't work long term.
This can't
isn't
be
a long-term
life.
design.
Right.
And I remember I called her because I was doing the same thing at my corporate job. I was working 55-ish hours, and just somebody telling me my worth and the politics of it's not your turn for promotion because that's going to offend somebody who's been here longer. So that type of mentality coming from a family that has been self-employed, my husband is self-employed, we thought, well, gosh, we're working so hard for somebody else and we're getting no enjoyment out of it. This cannot be what life is all about. I want to live a bigger, bolder life than that. And so we found our calling each other all the time
at the
and
same
said,
time, just left our jobs.
with no backup plan.
Just burn the boats like.
Yeah.
Okay.
We said, see you later. This is a quarter life crisis, and we're gonna go figure it out. And the main goal was not just that we were unhappy at the position and the opportunities that it was presenting us, or not presenting us.
We just kept feeling
we wanted to get back together.
Like we were I felt like I was hitting a ceiling, and I went to school for 5 years to get my degrees, and then it was like, man, this isn't what not only was it not what I thought it was, but it's not what I thought I wanted. Mm-hmm. So I thought that it was what I wanted, and then I got there, and I was like, wait a minute, I missed the mark. I judged it wrong. And turns out, it's like I said, I wasn't there very long. It didn't take very long to realize that what I wanted was something very different.
I think it took us less than a year, but each.
It took me 5 months.
Oh, I guess I worked I stayed longer than she did, I guess.
You started before
I started before you, that's what it was.
I graduated with grad school after you graduated with your bachelor's.
Mm-hmm.
So it was,
that's right. Yeah.
So
kudos to you guys though, because think about how many people go through life and they go to a job 9 to 5, living for 5 o'clock or for the weekend, and they fucking hate it. Like they can't stand it, and they're doing it. And I'm guilty of it. I was a drug rep, pharmaceutical sales for 10 plus years, and same deal. Like I felt it. Like I was like, corporate is not for me. Like I'm anti-corporate, and what I do today, like I am so adamant. Anytime one of my like property managers or employees tries to implement something, I'm like, no, we're very informal here. Like we're not doing that. And so, but it's hard because it's like the fear of the unknown. Like you don't know.
Yes.
It's not. I guess it's not the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of leaving the known. Like leaving what's comfortable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what though? There wasn't like and I'd been looking for other jobs. I knew that I could stay in the industry, keep the same job, but go be in a different space. It took me, I shopped jobs for about 30 days, and I kept getting, this is a revolving door, you're overqualified, we won't be able to keep you. The job description was less than what I did in graduate school, and I was like, man, this is just not really, I'm not finding what I want. So the fear of, so what I was getting is I didn't have something lined up when I left my job. But the fear of staying where I was greater than the fear of the unknown, because I knew that where I was not where I wanted to be. I knew that what I was doing was not what I wanted to do, really, truly, at the end of the day. And I knew, looking at the job descriptions, that wasn't going to fill my bucket either.
And we knew.
And so the fear of staying there, knowing that, was greater than who knows what the hell's about to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'll take those chances all day.
Well, and we knew that we would work hard. So before I quit my job, I said, Chelsea, we know that we can work hard. I mean, we're working hard for somebody else. So we can go work hard for ourselves. And so
Yeah, you control the outcome.
we had first thoughts on a different business and didn't really want to go that route, and really did some soul searching, and she and I both almost at the same time came up with real estate. It's something that I had thought about and made some calls on when I graduated college, but I was so ready to go work. I had been in school. I just wanted to go get a job and just go be a grown-up.
Right.
And
Well,
so,
you stay the path of what's taught to you from society. You go to school, you graduate,
you go get a job that has
Yeah.
insurance and a 401k. And but it's funny because this year, I think, for some people, I think was a big eye-opening year in that you're told to go do what's safe, and 30 million people lost their jobs this year. And so the
Their
safe
safe
route
job. They lost their safe job.
Right.
Yeah. And so, you know, what we do, we don't have a guaranteed paycheck. We don't have retirement. We don't have sick days. We don't have
paid vacations. We don't have vacations.
No, on my anniversary trip, I worked every single day on my anniversary trip this year, and my husband was just patient, and I said, this is what I'm going to do, and I told him, not that he would, but I told him up front when we started working, and we would work from the early mornings
we were the first
after
ones
dark.
in the office and the last ones to leave for our first full year, and then when we started working at home, we weren't going to bed
You never
and
turn
getting off the
it
computer
off.
till 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
But I said, don't hassle me. This is what I have to do. This is what I want to do. And we are determined to make it. And failure is absolutely not an option. So that we just kind of carry that with
what was
us.
the question?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. But I like so many questions are coming to my head now. Like, where does that mindset come from? I'm the same way. Like, I'm not going to make excuses. I know what my goals are, and I'm going to get it done, and I don't care what I have to do to make that happen. Ethically, within ethical bounds. But so where does that come from for you guys?
I think
Parents.
tough parents, because when they told us to do something, no excuses were accepted, and
Oh,
so
you didn't
I
get
think
to ask a
that
question?
You can't ask a question. You better listen because they won't repeat themselves, and you better go get it done. No excuses. And so I think that where that was always pretty menial things, do the stuff around the house, show up. We had to work for them growing up, so that kind of stuff that evolved into a life theory.
A lifestyle.
I mean, a
well,
lifestyle.
you just don't know any different. That's the expectation that's set, and you say, they tell you if you want to be somebody and you want to do something in life, nobody's gonna hand it to you, and you just have to go make it for yourself. And we just said, okay.
So you guys grew up around horses. Your family had a ranch. There seems to be a consistent trend with everybody I sit down with that grows up in the Western lifestyle. Work ethic is not a problem. Like, it's almost like that is who you are, and that kind of just becomes I guess it's part of your personality.
Right.
I'm curious, why real estate? I know you said you spoke with some people early on or even right out of college, but like, what made you say, yeah, we're gonna do real estate?
So, man, you've been saying everything.
Okay, you can answer it.
Thank you. Thank you. So so Bailey has a business degree and I have a science degree. And so when we did, pack up and leave our jobs, we were like, how in the world are we going to work together? How can we make science and business overlap and work for ourselves? And what we came to the conclusion is that we're going to be running a business. So, that's where Bailey has the business side of things.
What kind of business do we want? And I wanted it to be client facing.
Yeah, and you can control every aspect of your business in real estate. And secondly, we specialize in farm and ranch and horse properties. So how better than I can use my degree than to go sell those properties to the people who are in that industry doing it. So
Right.
it made sense, and it wasn't like it was the first thing that came to mind, but it made sense when we thought about it, and then it stuck and it worked. So.
And then we ended up just loving it. I think we saw it probably as a means to an end, being the best thing that we could come up with at the time. And then we got into it and we were like, oh my gosh. We love our job.
There was a lot more
I
than we
honestly don't feel
expected.
like I have a job and that I feel like I work. I mean, we work really hard. But the negative connotation that comes with a job,
We don't feel that.
I have never. And then people are like, oh, don't you have to work nights and weekends? Oh my gosh. You're like, no, I get to.
It's like I get to,
do
yeah,
all
there's
of
a lot of
this.
autonomy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's opportunity. There's nothing negative about it. I mean, sometimes there are difficult components, and not everything is shiny and rosy, but all in all, I think we absolutely love what we get to do every day.
Talk about that a little bit. Like, so routines. I'm big on my morning routine, and then I have the evening routine before I go to bed. What is something that you guys do, and how different or similar may that be for each of you?
So for me, I'm a routine person, and I won't speak for Bailey, but or did I?
I think you did.
For me, my morning routine sets the tone for my entire day. So when I'm getting ready, putting makeup on, I'm always listening to a podcast. I'm always trying to add to my envelope of knowledge or mindset or whatever it may be. I usually we go through seasons, right? So like I think that I was going through a lot of a mindset season during COVID, but I don't ever feel like I lose track of that mindset. It's just what new piece of information can I add? And now I'm in a season of implementation and adding to that knowledge because so I've been working on mindset. I'm excited. I'm always
now what can I do with it?
Yeah, now I want to go do something with that. And so that's listening to my podcast and everything. I work out a few times a week, and so I kind of alternate what I get to do in the mornings. And then lately since the time switch and everything, I when I get to ride has changed lately. But riding my horse is a huge part of my day too. I don't feel right unless I've been on the back of a horse. So really, of course, work falls in there. And around and on top of and everything else, but really, if I set a standard, that would be my standard. Morning.
Are you an early riser?
Yes.
What time are you getting up?
During the summer, I was getting up around 3:30. Now I'm getting up around 4:35.
Yeah.
I never got up that early, ever. Unless I got up for like a drink.
I find myself like, I need to call Bailey because I call her every morning. That's something I forget. That's part of my routine.
It's a big joke between me and my husband. We'll be sitting there having coffee in the morning because that's our routine. But my husband and I get up and we have coffee together, and when permitting, and she'll call me.
Every single morning.
I look at my phone.
I had no idea that I was breaking up coffee time.
Yes. And I casually would say, well, hey, Chelsea, I'm just going to visit with Brian before he leaves. Do you think I could call you back when he takes off?
She does do that a lot.
Every day. And she never gets it. So there's something called... So Brian, my husband and I like to get up and go work out in the mornings in terms of routine. We really, really like that. And then we try to have coffee before we all break to go to work. And then we just dive into work head first. In the wintertime, we work out. In the wintertime, we work out in the mornings. In the summertime, we like to get up and rope because you can get it in really quick before the sun bakes everybody, and it's still pretty delicate in the morning in Texas, but in the afternoons it's that all day to just cook you. So we like to rope in the mornings in the summertime, and then really it's work until we go to bed.
You mentioned podcast. I'm curious, like what is your number one?
Oh gosh, we have like a cookie jar of them.
Yeah, so I use podcasts and audiobooks for different things. Usually my podcasts are my adding to my knowledge envelope sector, and then I utilize audiobooks for the mindset. So what I've been listening to right now is I really like a couple podcasts. There's like Gary Vee is good. I like the real estate marketing dude. He's just like non-filtered, non-censored, and it's applicable to my business, and so we get a lot of tactical stuff there. And then for like mindset and things, I like the One Thing by I can't remember who it's by. Yeah, the One Thing, and then I'm listening.
Gary Keller didn't write that.
No, but a lot of his.
I think he was a co-author.
He might have been there's a couple of them on that one.
We'll do some fact checking.
The 12-week year. I'm listening to that right now. Really like it.
There's a podcast that I am in love with right now. It's called The Mindset Master, I believe is what it's called. And it is very good. And it's obviously about nothing but mindset. But I think that's the most challenging thing sometimes. And there's a really, really great story that I think everybody can probably relate to it to some degree. And it's about the Chinese bamboo tree. Have you heard this story?
Oh, I wasn't even finished, and now we're on a Chinese bamboo tree.
I'm sorry.
We'll come back to you.
Thanks.
So the Chinese
She's got my
bamboo
interest
tree,
with Chinese bamboo tree.
So essentially, the gist of it is to never give up. And so you plant this bamboo seed, and you water it, and you keep the soil how it needs to be, and you just take care of it.
Bailey could never do this for the record.
Yes, I could.
In case anyone's wondering.
5 years, nothing happens. Nothing happens for 5 years. It doesn't even start to sprout. And then year 5, it can grow up to 80 feet in 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
In 6 weeks. It grows about 3 feet per day. And I Googled and fact-checked this story, and everybody says it's true. And so the issue is that for 5 years, it's kind of like the same principle in business or with working out or with anything. We live in a day where you can get groceries without leaving your house. And you can Amazon Prime something to you in same day delivery.
We live in a microwave society, instant gratification.
Yes, exactly. Everything is right now.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to know anything, you just ask Siri, and
Well, and
she'll
I feel
tell
like
you.
a lot of people will only stick to something if they're seeing right now results. They don't stick with it long enough to see a long-term result. And I don't see a lot of people playing a long-term game
But what
anymore.
you don't see in this, and going back to the bamboo tree, is what you don't see is for those 5 years, what's happening below the dirt. For a tree to grow that quickly up top, there has to be something supporting it and that infrastructure being built underneath. And so for those 5 years, you think nothing's happening in life when I'm going to the gym or when I'm growing my business, but you don't understand that what is happening right now is preparing you for what's about to happen. And I think if more people would don't dig up your seed and go plant another field and expect something different to happen, because you could have been on the cusp of, you know, the 3 foot a day growth. And so I think if more people were just patient and did the things and stuck with it, then you would see those results. But I think what helps you stay in that place is mindset. And that's the hardest part of it, is the everyday mindset.
That's the hardest part of it, but it's the most controllable part of it.
Right.
You know, like I'm the same way. Like I spend, if I had to put like a ratio on it, probably 80% towards mindset, 20% towards learning more business related skills, you know. I interviewed William Clark Green yesterday, and he said a good quote by Wade Bowen. He's like, when he was starting out his music career, Wade told him, you've got to be willing to devote 10 years of your life to this. And William Clark Green said the first 4 years were the worst. Like, it sucked, you know. Wow. But I think consistency is the key with all of that, you know, and really knowing why you're doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And for the love of doing it. And I know that sounds so cliche, and it's easy for me to sit here to say, and say, you know, I get caught up in the instant gratification just like everybody else. But I think it's the awareness of it and staying consistent with the practices. And it's been really cool. Like this show, it's a platform for really my personal growth, and to be able to learn that and see that, it's kind of validating to see it in those people like yourself and like a William Clark Green or the other people we sat down with who have been through the struggles and the challenges, and they're like, yes, that's what it takes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we focus on. Like, culture is huge to us. And so we have a team. It's not just Bailey and myself. We've grown and we've added to our team since day one. Mm-hmm. And so having a culture within our team and then within our company with Keller Williams is so important to us. You know, we talk about and what we want to be centric to everything that we do is goals. And our big why. Why are we doing this? Why does anyone get up and fight the fight?
Because you can't hit a target if you don't know what it is or where it is.
Well, and the thing, you know, you can have a goal, and that's one thing, and it's great to say I want to net this much money, or you know, I want to have this much in production, or
but why? And what
why are you
that?
there?
And what gets up
because
and makes you fight the fight?
Yeah, because when the going gets tough, what do you have? And it's like, you will always be motivated. You will always be motivated. You will always want what you want. But
what makes you implement and do the things?
What makes you determined? I think having a big why takes you from being a motivated person to a determined person.
A doer.
Yeah, like, are you determined to do this thing, or are you just motivated to do it? Because to me, there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And my last plug before the bamboo tree was Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
Love it.
Man, I love
it.
that book.
I think I told you, I may have been listening to it when you and I spoke a few weeks ago.
I think you maybe mentioned it, but she was already in
Did
it.
you
She's
listen
trying
to
get
it,
me
or
to
did
listen
you read
to
it?
Oh no, he read it. I listened to it.
Yeah, you got to do the audio.
I am not gonna read
He's
that
saying
book.
it too.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he's gonna read that to me a bunch. He's so funny. He's so funny. And what better way? I love it when authors narrate their own books. I mean, I don't care what it is. Like, Matthew McConaughey is wonderful and fabulous. But
Ryan
like,
Serhant, when
oh my gosh,
the
Ryan
audiobook of
Serhant,
Ryan
he's
Serhant.
hysterical.
Yeah.
So like Serhant, and that's another. So when we're talking about motivation and mindset and everything, it's like those are a couple others that we really like. And so but I love it when authors narrate their own stuff because they're so fun.
Yeah, I listened to it, and then also got the hard copy, and I tried to read it, and I'm like, it's not the same.
It's not the
This
same.
isn't the same. Like,
I mean,
it's cool to be able to highlight some stuff in it.
Yeah. Yep. when you get to hear about like his parents, and he's like, he is mimicking his mother like to a T. Real. I'm like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah. It's relatable. For
yeah.
Tell me, I'm curious. Like, I'm a nerd when it comes to book. I've got a full library, and most of them haven't even been read yet because I still go back. I like to reread stuff and highlight and tab pages. So, what are some of those books for you guys that you'll go back and reread or gift to other people?
I think for me, it's Atomic Habits. When I read that book, it really resonated with me, and I think it depends on where you are in your life at the time you read it and when you reread it, kind of what it speaks to you.
Yeah.
And so for me, right now, it's Atomic Habits, because like I said, we're at that, or like Chelsea said, we're at that implementation phase. We're like, we're going to honor our intuition and what our gut says to do, because thus far it's never been wrong. And so at this point in our career, implementation is a big conversation with us. And Atomic Habits is that food for thought and that perspective. And so it's applicable to anybody and everybody in any stage doing anything in life. So that's my book.
I recommend a couple regularly, and that is The One Thing. That's usually my first recommendation to someone. And then lately it's two different books for two different reasons. The One Thing, and then the Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. Yeah. Because the one thing that I got from Matthew McConaughey's book is that you never know what someone's gone through or going through or where they intend to go and why. And then the other thing that I love about that book is he doesn't care. And Bailey will get on me about not caring what people think. She gets all over me because it makes her uncomfortable sometimes, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. And
unhealthy in being a people pleaser.
Yeah, and so I get from him, people love him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But he also doesn't care about...
Yeah, there's something about like being authentic that resonates with people, you know? And a lot of times I think every human is guilty of it at some point. Like, we worry if we do this, well, so-and-so may not like it. Or if we say this, somebody may judge us.
And the worry can be paralyzing. So I do believe that a healthy level of just staying true to you and not caring about certain things. Certain things.
She's getting on me right now. I can see it.
To go back to The One Thing though, real quick, like, I think that's important. And if I'm thinking of the right book, it's like, what do we need to put on our not to do list? Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What can we take away to make us more effective in the things that are more important to us, whatever they may be?
Absolutely. It's what's the one thing that you can do such that everything else would become
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Or unnecessary.
Yeah. And then it's even, you take it in the 12-week year takes that one step further and says, don't even look, like, how small can you make it? How small can you make that one thing? And so to me, that's so important, because I think that in the world, in this microwave world you talk about, in this world full of shiny objects, you can go a number of directions.
Oh, for sure.
And you can end up getting
distractions,
lost.
The shiny thing syndrome, where and you get nothing done when you're just going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. And so that's a really great center. And our the brokerage that we work for, that's something that's really, they're very vocal about. The One Thing is a really big book that they push, because they understand how crippling all the shiny objects can be. And if you just go honor your one thing,
just keep it simple.
Yeah,
keep it to the basics.
Right. I'm curious to know, y'all are very in tune to mindset and consciously aware. This is something I question a lot. Like, how do you determine the difference between like intuition guiding you and then that other little negative chatter that's kind of always there too? Like, how do you determine what's what?
We bounce off of each other a lot.
We have a lot of conceptual conversations, a ton, like,
and
daily.
So even it's something as simple as, I'm struggling with this. I want your idea on this. I want your opinion on this. And it's so weird. Our mom says that we've been like this since we're a baby. If one of us was crying, the other one was not.
Yeah.
we're always the opposite of whatever the other one is. And it just kind of, I don't know if it's something that was like, we just ended up doing that when we were kids, and it's just something that's always stuck with us. I don't know. I've only ever been a twin, so I can't imagine otherwise. But so it's one of those things where if she's struggling with something, chances are, and chances are I felt the same way. And if I'm not in that space at that time, I can help her through it, and she can do the same thing for me. And so I think that that's been the biggest coping mechanism for, how do we determine following our intuition versus that limiting mindset that will creep up pretty frequently, honestly.
It's like as humans, it's like by default, it's negative.
I think, and I think it's to some level survival.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're hardwired to worry about if we eat this berry, will it kill us? Is there a lion around this tree? Exactly. So for sure. But we don't live in those days anymore, and so
the lions are different these days.
It's like deprogramming our mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Finding stillness. That's something that meditation has helped me with. Journaling has helped me with. And that's part of my routine in the mornings. And it really I can tell just from this week. We've been in the bus doing these interviews down here in Fort Worth, and my routine is off, and so I have to find time just to get some clarity and find stillness.
Absolutely.
Who are some people, I'll say early on, when y'all first got into real estate, who are some mentors that you guys looked up to, and maybe what was some of the best advice they gave you?
I would say hands down our broker, Maquette. She has been the most influential, and it's interesting, her path. She started at a very young age, like us, and so she can relate, and she was very successful from a very young age. And so
she's always been extremely honest with us too, brutally honest, where
mama honest.
Yeah. And so
we love that's
we
part of
grew
what we
up
love
with
about
that,
her.
and so that's what we want, And so when someone is brutally honest and they're like, you need to know this at this time, we're like, bring it on.
And she's also said there are so many things that you don't know, and I'm not ready for you to know it yet. And so she's very successful herself. She's obviously in this industry. She was successful at a young age, and so
a female business owner. And so there's a lot to be learned in that space.
Absolutely. So definitely Maquette.
Right on. What's some of the worst advice you've heard in your industry?
Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it.
This is just the way it is.
Yeah. Just
complacency. Advice of complacency.
Don't challenge it. Don't rock the boat. Some of the very common things you'll hear are some of the worst things that we didn't
but my thing, and I've always said this for a really long time, and it's funny because it's again something really big and that Maquette preaches to us at the office is, we get one chance at this life, so why not rock the boat? Why not live it to the biggest capacity that we can? Yeah. Just because you didn't wake up with something doesn't mean that you can't go get it. Right. And you are the only thing in your way standing between you and those goals. And if you don't have those goals, if you don't know what your trajectory looks like, you don't know what you want, that's okay too. Yeah. But know that you don't have to know, and just go find it. Yeah. Know that it's okay to go against the grain and have... I'm not saying be abrasive, but, just go find your purpose and whatever it is. And there's nothing that says you can't do that but yourself.
Yeah. It's interesting, the stories that we tell ourselves that limit what we are or what, it goes back to the judgments of other people. But, I have no problem being the new guy, or I just started another company that I really know nothing about. So I'm asking questions all the time, how do you do this? What does that mean? And as silly as whatever, what I'm asking to be explained may be, I'm totally fine with it. I can take my ego and put it over here, and I'm help me understand, And so I think asking questions and just genuinely being curious, for me, is where I see the most growth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Asking those people that have already been there and done it and went through the trenches just expedites that growth.
And I think when you look at successful people, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story, and everybody has somebody who helped get them there. And if you could look at the shoulders that people have you've stood on, and they helped you get to that next level. It's really incredible. And I think one of the most common factors that I have found in those conversations of success is, like you said, it's the questions, and it's the hunger to know more, do more, and be more. And those are the boosts in the force behind the trajectory that you see behind successful people.
Yeah. I don't know who said the quote, but it says, if I have seen further than others, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I have no problem with doing that.
Right. Because somebody probably did it for them, and people that are
And
successful
they really
wanna
appreciate
give
it, like they appreciate, everybody likes to teach, something, and so they can see the desire, they see it's true,
Right.
Here's a fun question. What purchase of $100 or less have you made in the last 6 months that's most positively impacted your life?
Books, yeah. Hands down books. And my thing is, we don't have a crystal ball, but I don't even think that that's in first place. I think history should take the first place, and everybody's like, well, it can't see in the future, like it's a negative thing, but we have a better tool, and that's history. And we have the opportunity to, like we were just talking about, piggyback on the success of others and those that want to give back. And if we could give any advice, I would just say, just constantly learn. And when you think, like you've said it before, when you think you know everything, like that's scary. We always have so much to learn. Sure. And the greatest opportunity is finding out what you don't know. If you don't know what you don't know, that's a tough space to be in. But when you start learning and figuring out how to bridge those gaps on your own, that's some magic right there.
Yeah, for sure. A couple more questions, and then I'll turn you guys loose. This is a very cliche question, but I still like it. If you could go back in time, hypothetically speaking, which is probably not that long ago for you guys, but what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Trust yourself. Go for it. She's perfect. 20-year-old was on point. I think for me,
I would say take more risks. For sure. I was always a very play it safe kind of person. Everything by the book.
Scheduled, planned, known, forecasted.
Yeah. My plans were not going to change either. Absolutely not. Nope. Even dinner plans. Like, this is like simple stuff. Like, I would not.
Everything with Chelsea is etched in stone.
Yes. And so I would definitely say take more chances and take more risks.
And when I look back at just the short period of time that we've been doing what we've been doing, we'll look up months down the road and said, if we had just done what we thought we should have done at that very time, how different would our life look right now? And so that's why we say, like, now we're saying be a doer. Do the things that your gut tells you to go do. It's not, and I don't mean to say be a doer in that we just don't do the things. We do the things, but we question them and we question them and we question them for more amount of time.
And we evaluate.
And we should just rip the Band-Aid off and go trust yourself.
Right?
Yeah. We're smart. We put in the time. We've talked to a lot of people, and trust yourself that you know the answer and
see it through.
See it through the end. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something that comes to mind when y'all said that. I'm reading a book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. And a part in there, it says, it's like a conversation between two people, and it says, do you know how long it'll take me to learn the piano? And then the person responds, the same amount of time if you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like light bulb went off for me. And I probably butchered that whole thing, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you could, hypothetically speaking, have a billboard to get a message out to millions of people, what does that say? What does that message say? It can be a quote, it can be like a core value you live by.
Great question. Something that resonated with me in a quote that I heard one time was, flowers can't grow on the road that's been paved. So if you go down the road that's the safe, constantly traveled, perfected, smooth road, there's no potholes, it's not a gravel road, you're not going to see any flowers blooming on that road. And so for us, and I think that's why we so quickly ripped the Band-Aid off and said, we're going to take the road less traveled. because there are so many opportunities and things that you can see. It would be me not butchering that quote, but essentially saying, the path not paved is a more, I'm not going to say more beautiful, but there are more opportunities down it. So take a risk.
Yeah.
Take a risk and do it.
Mine would probably just be why.
It's very fitting.
Less is more, right?
Yeah.
Why? If you're gonna do something or not do something, why?
Yeah.
That's it. Why?
That's great. I love it.
Reminds me of Got Milk.
Oh my gosh.
It's that puncture. That's
Sticky.
all I can
It's
see.
sticky, yeah.
That's all I like your style.
Thank you.
Well, guys, that's all I have for you. I could sit here for another hour or two just sitting here talking to you. But I appreciate your time. Thank you for stopping by. Let people know, where can they find out more about Chelsea and Bailey and Blonde Ambition.
So y'all can follow us on Instagram. Is the best place. That's the hub for all information, new and old. DT Ranch Real Estate Group. So that's the best place. We do have a website, TexasRealEstateTwins.com. TXRealEstateTwins.com. And so, but social is always real, live, real time.
We don't keep it super polished. You get some behind the scenes and
Oh yeah, it's definitely real. It's not
posed.
Yeah. So it's fun.
And
thank
Blonde
you for
Ambition,
having us.
more is coming there. So
On Ride TV?
on Ride
Ride
TV.
TV.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
TBD.
Cool.
Well, thank you for having us today. We really appreciate you having us out, and
Yeah.
it was good to see you again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Had a good time talking.
I enjoyed it. Thank you guys, and thanks Schaefer Outfitter for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool.